1990. I moved from a very nice house on the coast of Mahe, near the beach, where I used to run with my dogs, and moved to the top of the mountain, in the middle of the bush, at 240 meters above sea level, because I was fed up of being affected by climate change. And except for the SIDS people, nobody understood what I was saying. I was fed up of, in the dry season, not having water, in the rainy season, not being able to get out of my house because it flooded. During the southeast monsoon, storm surges flooded the road with sand and I couldn't get the heck to work. So I moved up to 240 meters, where I was safe. And I even saw the tsunami coming in, and I was just watching it and having a cocktail. But the issue of SIDS and climate change is what I call, I've come up with a term called double jeopardy, because we face two large costs to do with climate change. One is a direct cost, and the other one is an indirect cost. The direct cost is exactly that, is the direct impacts of climate change, like sea level rise, coral bleaching, severity of storms, etc. The indirect cost is something that few of us think about, is the international measures that northern countries are putting in place to combat climate change, but that could affect our livelihoods. For example, carbon taxes on long-haul flights, such as tourism. And this is a problem. The indirect costs in particular, let us talk about those, because we've heard enough about the direct costs of climate change impacts. The indirect costs have several problems. One is a reduced demand for island goods and services, okay, internationally, because of higher costs, and also a negative public perception to do with carbon footprints. For example, a very famous gentleman in academic circles, or tourism academic circles, Stefan Gosling, you may know him, Minister. He's published a few papers that says that Seychelles tourism can never be sustainable. No way, no how. Why? Because we have a huge ecological footprint. In fact, we have the highest ecological footprint per capita in Africa. So this kind of notion leads to campaigns like we had some years ago in Germany, where I remember. It was called SILT, not Seychelles. Encouraging Europeans and others not to travel to these long-haul destinations, but to stay at home, stay closer to home. The other problem, the other indirect problem, has been highlighted by another academic, a friend of mine actually, Professor Geoffrey, where he says that this reduced demand leads to fierce competition among SIDS for the same product, especially in the Western Indian Ocean. Now, what would be our response? As you asked, Professor, as you said, enough of talk, let's have action. SIDS have too long been seen as victims, but we should be seen as champions of climate change adaptation. And I will just give you 3 examples from my organization, Nature Seychelles. We've been leading on innovative ideas to combat climate change. One, in 2010, we made Cousin Island Special Reserve, which is the island we manage, into the world's first carbon-neutral nature reserve and ecotourism island. We continue to maintain that status. In response to coral bleaching, which bleached the amazing reef of Cousin Island, which have been protected for almost 50 years, it'll be 50 years next year. We have initiated the world's largest coral reef restoration program. We now have a designer reef which is larger than a football field, consisting of 35,000 fragments of corals that we've grown in underwater nurseries. A third project, which is a renewable energy project, Cousin now, well, has been running on solar for quite some time, but now a 3rd generation solar system has been put And the entire financing was done through a crowdfunding project. It's the only crowd-funded project in Seychelles. So these are 3 examples of walking the walk that we have done. I would challenge others to do the same. Thank you.